Yeah. Welcome to the Oscar Podcast. Hello and welcome back to the Arts Bar Podcast. I threw you in there, didn't I? As you can see, I'm not joined by Al this week. I'm joined by my good friend and wonderful Gaia, aka G33.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Good. Very good.
Vibes.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers. Honestly, cheers.
You've had a long day?
I've had a long year, to be really honest with you. I've had a very long day and an even longer weekend. So I'm actually really grateful to just sit down and reset, because I don't really get to do this. I've been on the go for the last 72 hours. So I'm actually just really enjoying just being sat down here right now.
Cool.
So yeah, feeling good.
It's I think let's start at the beginning, I suppose, of because obviously we're going to get on to why you're so busy at the minute, because you're kind of you're in a different world altogether at the minute. But I kind of wanted we've started this podcast again to just kind of really connect back with the people that we've known over the years, and then for us to kind of be a little bit more honest about where we're at and how things are difficult. I mean, we've just been talking about social media and bits. It's a full-time job. It's difficult. It's everything that you do is it's not all kind of glamorous, and it's nice to be able to go, actually, what do you think and how are you feeling? And,
definitely.
Because I think everyone goes through similar mindsets. I kind of wanted to start with, Liverpool, and I mean, we met in the city. We both perform in the city. We've got lots of friends.
Turntable theatre. One of my earliest DJ sets was at Arts Bar on Hope Street for Tomo and Matt for Turntable Theatre.
I remember it well.
That is insane. On my little DDJ 400 controller.
Yeah. It was a Sunday
crazy.
Afternoon.
I know. That is meant to look back on that, and again especially having come from LIPA, Arts Bar has always been something so intrinsic with just the LIPA community, the Liverpool creative community. So yeah, it's very full circle to be having this chat now, knowing that at the time it was just, I think DJing for me, especially when I did that set there, was just very much just a little side thing.
So let's go further back. So before DJing, you came to Liverpool.
Yeah,
came to Liverpool to be an actor.
Yes, I did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So where did that all start?
Acting, oh God, it's just, it not to sound cliche, but it was in me. And I think it was mainly, I think I probably started taking it very seriously, or more seriously, when I was in school, and people were going off to university, and I was I don't want to do that. So when people were doing UCAS and applications and personal statements, I was just a bit well, what can I do? And then I was doing a drama A-level at the time. My drama teacher was what about drama school? And I was sound. Didn't even realise that was a proper thing. And then I auditioned. It was actually between LIPA and Birmingham School of Theatre. So it was between Birmingham and Liverpool, and I mean, I didn't take much convincing. I think I came to Liverpool, I did the auditions, I had a few friends in Liverpool, so I basically got to experience Liverpool. I fell in love with Liverpool before LIPA, and that was the cementing kind of factor of this is a city I want to be in. I've been on one night out and I'm obsessed, basically.
I'm going to say, have you been before?
I'd been up literally purely for the auditions, because obviously as I'm sure a lot of people will know, there's quite a vigorous auditioning introductory process to drama school, so I'd had to come up a few times for the LIPA auditions, and I just remember falling in love, and just it's difficult to explain when you're first here, particularly coming up from London as well. I'm used to the hustle and bustle of a big city, but there was just some kind of there was an energy that I felt in Liverpool that I didn't really feel anywhere else. I was auditioning all across the country. Manchester as well was another city that I'd fallen in love with. But there was just, there was this unexplainable... It's difficult to articulate because it is a feeling in Liverpool of just a really heightened sense of of consciousness for others, a care that I really felt, even just from going on a night out, I felt that straight away. This reluctancy probably a little bit more down south to kind of keep yourself a little bit more closed off, you don't really integrate or interact in the same way that you did in Liverpool. And I just remember first night out being this is so fun, this is so different to London nightlife. We're talking about clubbing in general, because that was probably one of my first introductions to it. So I fell in love with Liverpool first, got the place at LIPA, and then the rest, the next few years after that, obviously massively sculpted me. But I think Liverpool as a city was one of the foundations of just me probably growing up, but also not my hatred towards London now, but my kind of
rejection of it.
The rejection of it. The more I immersed myself in Liverpool, in the Liverpool community, not just as an actress, but also I worked at the Unity, I worked in a youth club, particularly post-graduating, was this is the place I'm meant to be. And also I think this is the place that I'm probably going to be forever.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't want to be anywhere else.
I get you. I think I came with a similar mindset. I came and I went to John Moores, did drama, and turned up and ended up being like, oh, I like the vibe. I like that it's still slightly old school in the way it goes about things and its respect for others. And I also like that it's not as big as, say, Manchester, and you don't have to, it's not as cliquey, I don't think. I know there's elements of it and it can creep through in certain aspects, but I think generally people are here to support each other.
Definitely. It's tight knit. I think you're right. Manchester's just too big. Manchester's just a little bit too big, whereas like I like the fact in Liverpool everybody knows everybody. Yeah. I know Scousers don't like that because like they're in it, and I probably feel the same way. Like growing up where I've grown up, like everybody knows everybody. So I can, and similar to you, we can kind of appreciate Liverpool from a bit more of like an external perspective, like coming in as a newbie, as somebody that's been like you've fallen in love with this kind of like community and this culture, has like adopted so much of it, been accepted as well, I'd like to think. And we can just step back and be like, you know what, this city is brilliant.
Yeah. I think you've definitely been accepted. I think,
okay, good.
We'll get on to your big show you did last weekend, but DJing in general. So when did you first get a set of decks?
First got a set of decks 2019, I'd say.
Are they the ones that, remember we came and carried them over from your house for something? You were living on Parley, and me and JB came over and picked them up for you.
Those were the ones that I actually got with my scholarship from LIPA.
Right.
I got a scholarship and I bought a pair of decks straight away. Whoops. But whatever. I mean, thank God I did, to be honest.
I mean, arguably, it's done you pretty well.
Exactly.
You know what
I mean, I should have been probably buying like black clothes and like Uta Hagen books and like Meisner workshops. But I think third year LIPA hit. The reality of like, okay, showcase, agent, like all of that kind of like pressure and like expectation. I obviously took it into my stride, but it was also like synonymous with the fact that I just got a DJ course for my birthday from a few of my mates. They'd all pitched in. I'd always kind of like had a bit of an avid like enthusiasm towards like, I guess like curating playlists, like, you know, making certain like setting the tone for like parties and like making my little mark musically on whether it be like a little afters or a pre-drinks. Like I was kind of always that person kind of like driving that. And then the next day after I did this course, I did it at Pirate Studios near the docks. I bought a pair of decks, like a pair of like controller ones that you plug into laptop, and then started like, again, small scale mixing in my bedroom, like small little bars here and there. Again, very like more of like a side passion that eventually obviously like became a career. But yeah, small scale things, DJing in little bars, DJing at like little LIPA bits and bobs, DJing in my room. And then 2020 obviously COVID hit, and I think everybody kind of like reset, relearn, re-energized themselves in like new skills. There wasn't anything else to do, so it was like everybody really adopted this kind of like fuck it like mentality. I definitely did, because we didn't have anything. So I think the actual craft of DJing was something that I got obsessed with. I got a bit fanatic with, in terms of like the science behind it within that like lockdown like that time. So it meant that when the world did open, even though it was very strange and, you know, people were having to be sat down and having to eat, you know, at club nights and things like that, because those are the rules at the time, it meant that I was pretty confident technically, DJ wise. So we did on the kind of return to normal life, just about, we did a little library session. I remember noticing the massive difference between mixing tunes well, but then actually sculpting your set through it, and then going back to back with Dobbs at the time. It was like, well, actually, you started to listen, and then, I don't know, I suppose that comes with skill as well as like just doing it and practicing and being aware of what comes after what and what works well. It was definitely like, it's really hard, isn't it, to explain it to someone that doesn't understand what DJing is. It's hard to go. It's bloody hard to do, and like you can tell. It is hard, but it is, but it isn't. Like I'm teaching at the moment tonight. Actually, I'm teaching 14 women to DJ in a group, which is difficult. And obviously, everybody has different like capacities. They're going to learn at different times, but ultimately, if you love music, I this is kind of like the mantra that I'm trying to like put out there. If you love music, you can DJ.
Yeah.
ultimately, obviously, you need to have that passion for starters. And I think particularly with like probably the younger generation, you know, there's that kind of like yearn to fast track a little bit, to be like, I want to get the bookings, I want to be on the stages, I want to make the money. Whereas actually it's those bits in between of just like falling in love with the craft, getting curious, and also finding out your own identity and your own sound, especially like collaborating and meeting people like Dobbs that are very... By that point, Dobbs had already had a boiler room out. Like, you know, they'd been part of I can't remember the name of the collective, but similar kind of like infrastructure and like build to Girls Don't Sink. They were part of like a DJing community, and you know, that's really important in terms of like finding your own identity. And I think that time I was really finding out what the G33 sound was, and compare it to like the earlier mixes I was doing probably at the start when I was just in my bedroom. It was more like R&B and hip hop, and then I slowly like transcended into more electronic. But being from London, the term electronic music to me growing up like reminded me of like EDM. Nobody was really saying electronic music. It wasn't really like a thing. Whereas like growing up in London, it was garage, grime, and UK funky. Nobody called it electronic music.
Yeah. Electronic music being kind of branded as
electronic music to me at that time was like EDM. So I was like, I don't know if I like that. But actually, like, there's so much of electronic music that I like, particularly garage, especially growing up in London, growing up in South London.
But EDM to me always meant like more of that donk sound. EDM
to me reminded me of like, I don't know, like Avicii, like naff Euro pop.
Yeah.
Electronic music that like
I'd
hear like I mean, obviously, but now it's like the umbrella of electronic music is so broad. You've got grime, you've got amapiano, like you've got so much that kind of like sits within that. And obviously at the moment we're seeing a very interesting like crossover with like genres like pop and like electronic music. Like there's lots of hybrids happening. But I think at that time,
bass line keeps just
bass line of course, like
it's amazing.
Bass line is like, but that's so synonymous with like the north of England as well. And I think those early sets, particularly like those kind of like back-to-backs and doing those little live streams, I was still kind of like cultivating my own identity and sound. And to be honest, I think it's still ever growing because I'm always going to be influenced by different things. And I think position-wise, like, you know, being in Liverpool, that speaks a lot to kind of like my influences, being close to the north, but also being from London, being from South London, being from Brixton. Like there's so many elements in terms of like dancehall, hip hop, reggaeton that are kind of like a melting pot of music and ultimately cultures that I think have kind of like stuck onto me that I kind of want to like bring into.
I think your first set that I saw early doors, it was R&B and kind of old school stuff.
Yeah.
But then you were blending in some of the reggaeton stuff, and that's where it was like, oh, this is interesting. Because you made it really accessible, but you were still adding your own flavour in there, which is cool. And then I think
that's what a good DJ should do, though.
100%.
A good DJ is like educating people on like new sound, new music, new talent. But also, like, I want people to enjoy my DJ sets. I want to play stuff that's familiar. I want people to sing along. I want those kind of like nostalgic hits, because I know we both know what it's like to be on the other side, to be in the dance floor and like hear a tune that you've not heard in ages, or hear that one sample that's been like replicated and recreated across generations. And I think that's very telling in electronic music in general. Like everything's being sampled, everything's being brought back basically. And even like some of the kids that I teach at the moment that are like year 8, year 9, because of the likes of TikTok and I guess like the power of like remixing and like, you know, pinching these kinds of samples and recreating them, it means that there's like a real cross-generational knowledge with like some of the real like classics in terms of like house and garage, and that's really exciting to see.
It's like when the start of hip-hop happened, you had sampling. It's like that. It's
exactly.
Like, even if it's a chorus on a pop tune that's more of a dancey one, you kind of getting them old choruses from tunes coming through, and then gives young people a chance to go, oh, I didn't realise that was already a tune. I mean, that happens to me. I'm a big reggae fan, family big reggae fan, and there's still tunes that I'm finding now that are like, I can't believe that's a sample of an older one.
No, even older.
Like,
I think particularly for like dancehall, hip hop, like so much of it has also come from like a lot of like South Asian classical music, Arab classical music. You look at Jay-Z, Big Pimpin', for example, that melody is from like an old like Arab melodrama TV series. So like the kind of like history and importance of like sampling and like making something your own is something that I think is rooted in so much of like the music that we love.
Yeah, it just makes it deeper than the actual moment as well. You want to
connection as well, because
you're
like I know, maybe I don't know it, but I know it because I've heard it before. I've heard it in a different way, and I think that's a real like unifying factor, particularly when you go and like see a set, or you know you're enriched in live music. It's a nice feeling to have. It's almost like a smug feeling, because you're like, I know this one. It's nice, isn't it?
You want to hear the original.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with like the Dissection podcast at the minute about like different albums. I really love getting into it because actually some of the samples of certain songs actually say more about some of the lyrics. And like they chose to do this on that date because so-and-so was released from prison. I don't know what. And it's like, oh wow, there's so many levels to this.
There's so much meaning and like intention.
Yeah. That you could miss quite easily if you're just on the radio and you weren't really paying attention.
Defo.
All right, well that's interesting then because that's you, but now there is kind of 4 of you taking over the world. Yeah. So Girls Don't Sink. I mean, Jesus Christ, you must be. I mean, baffled when I see you guys doing your thing. I'm like, how has this just got... It feels like it's gone from 0 to 100. It has. I know for a fact that there's been so much work gone into it. How did it all start? Where did you meet the others? And kind of what's the journey like for you all?
So we met 21. And essentially, I know, it's only been 3 years, which is mad. It's almost like, where do we start? Well, we started as promoters, essentially. We were putting on a female DJ night in Liverpool, local to here. And ultimately, I was working on a bar in a venue in Liverpool. I was also working in a youth club at the time, which is where I met Hannah, one of the girls. And we were just doing like quite small scale, like DJ workshops with some of the kids that were there. Matty, who's obviously based in London, we grew up together. So we've known each other from like school days. She, like, her number one kind of like goal was getting into radio. So she was like DJing alongside it to kind of like help assist it. Sophia happened to just come into the club one evening and she was doing a DJ set. And I think that just like that connection of literally purely just being a girly coming in, there wasn't many female DJs coming through at the club at the time. We just kind of instantly connected. I remember she was quite nervous, gave her a few drinks, that we just literally formulated a friendship just based on that. And then off the back of that, the owner of the club was like, look, you're mates with Hannah, who's a DJ. You're mates with Sophia, who's a DJ. You've got Matty in London. Why don't you put on a female DJ night? Like, we're struggling. It's after the height of COVID-19. Everyone will have to be sat down and everyone will have to eat, but like it's something to do. And we were really keen. So we started, and the premise was at the time was just like booking either students that me and Hannah were teaching at the time. So like girls, a lot of them was like their first DJ sets ever. So it was great to be able to give them that kind of opportunity. And it was just a really like wholesome vibe. And then I think we went back to back on a couple of the nights and we were like, hold on a second. We're really good. There's something here. Like all of our sounds are all like, we're all bringing something different, but it's all got the same through line. It's all sitting under the same energy. And then off the back of that, we started getting booked as a group. So, kind of moving away from promoting. We were still putting on the nights, but being established as more as like a collective, as a group, being booked again, quite small scale, Liverpool, London. And then Mixmag came to Liverpool. We did a live stream. And that was the thing that kind of catapulted us, putting us online like that, which was mental at the time. I actually asked them not to post it because I was just already prophesizing like the comments, like already just like being like 4 girlies on YouTube, on a platform like Mixmag. And I was just already like envisioning like the incels, the abuse, the hate. And it was quite scary at that time.
And it happened, right?
Yeah. Oh God. But also what happened was just like an influx of positivity and so many people being like, wow, I've never seen this. But also, hand in hand with that is people being like, wow, I've never seen this before, in the sense of a lot of that unknown is rooted, a lot of hatred can be rooted in that. It's that fear of the unknown. I've never seen it before, therefore it worries me, therefore I hate it. So there was kind of like 2 different types of people. And
it blows my mind.
It was insane. It's but also baffling. I just think anything you do, particularly when you are from a marginalised community and you put yourself online, you're going to get people that don't like it. And that's absolutely fine. You're not our target audience. The other half of those comments absolutely are. And we've obviously like really catered and like bought into that. And
when you first, if that was your big moment that you were worried about it going out, I suppose that's also good just to, I don't know what the word is really. It's good to have had that experience and go,
definitely.
Actually, do you know
And
what?
don't get me wrong, at the time I wasn't saying it like this. I got completely obsessed with looking at the comments. Like, it was weird. Like, it happened overnight, and like I got a bit like in my head about watching it back all the time and really honing in on certain mistakes and like, whatever. Obviously now, 3 years on, you're able to just like shed some of that off. But at the time, it was a lot. It was a lot for all of us to deal with. And also, we were completely unprotected. Off the back of that, then came the managers, then came the agents, and we started to really kind of realise like, whoa, this isn't a small part-time thing that we're just doing in Liverpool. This is actually going to become our careers.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Unreal, man.
I know, it's mad.
Unreal.
It's mad.
Going back to kind of like the idea that we said about using your influences, is there ever a conversation? Are they like R&Ds? Are they like, do you plan? You go, look, I want to go in this direction, or is a lot of it off the cuff?
We're talking about the actual set.
I suppose the set, but also like if you're a band. I'm trying to come at it from like a band.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, we are a
mentality.
band. We are a band.
You're a band.
Yeah.
In a raw sense of you're a band of people. Do you have a direct? Do you plan? Do you go, this is our direction, this is the sound we want to go down? Or is it so-and-so will come with an idea and so-and-so will go, oh, I've got something that matches that.
Yeah.
And I'm just, just logistically.
In terms of our sets, in terms of our actual DJ sets, it is all impromptu. I think that's the reason why visually as well, we've got that kind of like connection with our fan base, and obviously like that visual element, particularly with the streams, I don't know what any of the other girls are going to play. So like, the first time I'm experiencing it is the same time that everybody else is. So I think it keeps it really keeps the sets really energized. It keeps all of us on our toes, but it means that all of those reactions are in the moment and they're all real. There might be a few tunes that we share, but there'll definitely be like before a set, I'll be like, I can't wait to show you guys this one. And it means that like when I do drop it, their reactions are just like in the moment. It's very, very present, which means that for the likes of the rest of us, we all need to know our music inside out.
Yeah.
We also need to
be able
quick.
to react to
we all need to be quick. And it means that when I've gone back to that with other people, they're like, you need to slow down. Because we're so used to it. And like, there's just like a non-verbal kind of like communication. Like we're in terms of like the decisions that get made creatively, like because we've all built the brand, 4 of us, it's our baby, like equally. So in terms of like even something like, I don't know, like tour visuals at the moment, there's certain conversations in terms of like creative direction, creative design that we're all kind of on board with, because we've all helped like nurture this like baby. So we know we're all in the mindset of like where it needs to go, what needs to be done, what needs to be removed. And we're all kind of like pretty much in control of that. Like it's our brand. We built it from the ground up. We're very protective over it. We also own a business. We're 4 friends that own a business. There's things that happen behind the scene. Like I think everybody sees like us jumping on a stage, but they don't see like obviously the day-to-day things that
sounds very similar.
That takes.
I can appreciate that.
And like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I think it's normal for people to see that end product, but they don't see like, the bits that happen in between. And it's something that we're all really heavily involved in.
I remember vividly, right? So I was at Glastonbury 2 years ago, and you were opening Silver Haze, or you were second on or third on maybe at Silver Haze.
Is this at Lonely Hearts or Levels?
So it was...
This is Silver Haze, yeah. Both of them are in Levels. Both of them in Silver Haze.
It was crazy, right? Yeah. Maybe it was Lonely Hearts. I can't remember, they changed it. I went thinking, I'll be able to like get to the front, see us, and as I turned off the track down, mate, I've never seen so many people in that bit of the field.
Glasgow's one of them where it's like it is proper pinch me.
It was unbelievable. I was like, I dragged my mates along going, there's these girls that I know, and like blah blah blah, going, yeah, come on, we'll go.
Roadblock.
And then it was like they were like, what the fuck?
Glastonbury is one of those like, obviously we'd never been before, so like our experience at Glastonbury is like going as artists, but obviously we're very much enjoying as punters as well. Like we're outside, we're wanting to soak up like every like crevice. It's so big as well, and obviously we've understood that there's no way that we're going to be able to experience it all. But as a DJ, being at Glastonbury, like being inspired, watching other people's sets, soaking that all in is one thing, but then actually performing. I think this year, we closed Levels on the Sunday. It's difficult to articulate like what that feeling is of just like it's so much of it is shock of just like, how did we come here? Also like somewhere like Glastonbury where essentially they've booked the best of the best. They've got the creme de la creme there. It's still like, I can't quite believe that people, in terms of like looking at a lineup like that, looking at all the talent that is spread out across those miles and miles and miles of fields, that people would want to like come and see us. Like it's mad. It's mad.
When you do a festival that big, do you see an influx of support straight after it?
Yeah, definitely. And like the feedback, and like for us as well, it's a lot of people that have never heard of us. And it's like kind of like gaining that trust, particularly being situated in somewhere like Silver Hay. So many people have to walk through it. And I've seen it. I've seen people like being like, okay, we'll stay here, whatever. And that's what we want. Like, that's what we want. We want to be able to like be engaged in those new audiences. It's all well and good people like you coming to see us who have like been supporting us from day one. But it's also the people that have never heard of us that might be like, who's that? Or like, they hear something and then they go and then they stay, or a friend of a friend tells them to go. And it's kind of like, yeah, it revives our fan base, and it means that we can connect with more and more and more people. And yeah, after Glastonbury, it just...
And that feeling that you give from stage, it makes you undeniable. So even like if you're going back 2 years to the hateful comments you were receiving, it makes that completely nuisance, because actually you're undeniable now. Like what you're doing is ridiculous. It's like you've shot up, and you've got loyal supporters, and you're inspiring. Like look, how many people are you teaching tonight? 14? 14 young girls.
Yeah, no. Right. So 14 tonight is older ladies, and then I've been teaching year 8s and year 9s on a Monday. So it's been a mix, but it's always girls that I'm teaching at the moment.
4 years ago, you would never had that many women in a room.
No.
Wanting to be a DJ, and that is like, look, I'm not down to you guys being so positive about it, and the shows that you put on. The energy is undeniable. It's the best way to describe it. It's undeniable. Like mixed with the talent and the chemistry you've got between you, but it's actually what you're giving other people. And like, look, you're still in the city, you were teaching and doing everything. You're not just touring the World Club, but you're doing a bit of both. And that, I think, is so important. Like, you can get wrapped up in yourself.
Definitely, but also like, first of all, there's 4 of us. I'll be very transparent. I don't think I'd be able to do it to this caliber by myself. It's a lot. It's a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of putting yourself out there, being forward facing. That comes with a lot of like internal, mental, like it's difficult. And I think we're very dependent on each other. What you're talking about in terms of like the visual chemistry, that is real. That's friendship. Like I was trying to explain to my nan, like,
did you have a rest and relaxation day?
At my nan's, yeah, I did. I needed it. But I was talking to my nan about it, and I was saying like it's difficult to explain. Like obviously they're my best mates, but like it transcends that. Like it's so much deeper than that. And there's certain things that have happened in the last few years that only us 4 will ever be able to understand. And we've just got this connection. Like I don't have siblings. I'm an only child. It is, as cheesy as it sounds, it is the closest thing I have to sisters. It is the closest thing I have to sisterhood. And it's just like this bond that we can like bring onto a stage, but also it's off the stage. You know, so much of our personal life bleeds into this. Like any job you do, if you're a teacher, if you're a bus driver, shit happens. It's going to affect your day. And I just think there's been so many times that we've been there for each other, that we've like had each other's backs. And yeah, we're young women in our 20s. Shit is happening for us, whether it's personal, whether it's this, whether it's that. And I just think having that kind of like foundation of support with amongst the girls, being able to celebrate that. I got very emotional on Saturday at our Liverpool headline show because... Yeah,
let's talk about Liverpool.
I saw 4 girls in the front just hugging, and I was like, whoa. And it just hit me. I was like, that's us. Like that's what we're doing. We're just doing it on the other side. And we actually got this message. I'll read it out to you. We got this message after Saturday. I feel like I'm going to cry. I don't want to cry.
No, come on, you can.
No, I don't want to cry. We got this message, and a message like this... Because we're 4 girls, we're all from different places, we all represent different things, we all stand for different things. Whether we like it or not, we are political. Us 4 women being on a stage like that, before we've even pressed play, is fucking impactful. And it's taken me a while to just be like, there's something very powerful about that. I've always known it, but I think receiving a message like this is like, whoa. So first of all, we had a first message being like, cannot thank you enough for last night. Feel very emotional watching all the videos back. You guys are fucking amazing. The amount of female energy in that room, genuinely one of the most incredible things we've ever experienced. So much love. Somebody replied to it saying this. Me and my mate were saying how unreal the vibes were last night. Every time we sat down, we'd make friends with another group of girls. With everything going on in the world right now, it was so peaceful to be able to freely dance and enjoy ourselves, knowing that we are in a safe space. Something women desperately need more of, not just within the rave scene, but everywhere. What you girls are doing goes far beyond the music. You should be so proud. And I think that's something that we've always wanted to attempt to create. And I think that the word safe space gets thrown around a lot in club culture. Nobody can guarantee a safe space. They can't. because there's so many external factors. You're within nightlife, you're within a club. You can't police who's coming in, you can't police what's going on. What you can do is attempt to create an infrastructure that can attempt to create, a safer environment, but nobody can promise a safe space. You can't. It's impossible. Not with drinking, not with young people, not with drugs, not with nightlife in general. And I think to be able to receive a message like that, it's like, actually, that's because of our fan base, that's reflective of our community that has created this kind of like overarching feeling of female energy, safety, representation and joy. And I think that's something that's really rooted in what we want to like continue to advocate, like wherever we go, not just within our headline sets, not just within like our shows. We want to be able to like have those little pockets of those people that come like the likes of Glastonbury or, wherever we are. And we want to be able to channel that like through the music, through the sets. And yeah, getting a message like that and feedback like that is what
But then
if
newcomers are coming to your sets and they've seen you at a festival, they need to adopt that behaviour.
Absolutely.
And the more percentage of the crowd that are adopting that behaviour, the more that people, we find it in here, so we really actively try and create the best environment we can. And it's all about how you talk to people and how you react to situations. And I don't know, there's a responsibility as musicians, venue owners, public, there's a responsibility to look after each other.
Absolutely.
But if you're giving them a positive reason to do that, it's going to amplify that massively. And I think you've got the toughest one in the club culture, because notoriously over the years it is a difficult one. It's dark, it's late, people are drunk, and for you to be able to do that and get messages like that is incredible.
I think it's what you said. It's about talking to them. It's about saying stuff in a way that like makes them feel not attacked, but like almost included. Particularly like, look, we've got a really young fan base. A lot of our fan base has come through the likes of like stuff like TikTok, that have seen us in those like short 15-second clips, and they've started raving after COVID, and there's certain nuances within club culture that they don't quite understand yet because they've never experienced. And I think we're in a position where we've got a lot of trust with our audience. So something like filming during the sets, like I've seen a lot of it, especially with like the younger generation, and it's like we're in a position where there's a lot of trust. We want to invite our audience to maybe put the phones down, and Matty will get on the mic and be like, "You lot, we love you. Let's take a sec. Let's be in the moment. Pop them away. Turn around. Tell your best friend you love them." Like, it's all about creating those moments, and we're a very vocal group. We get on the mic. We engage with people. We invite people up. We pour them drinks. We want people to feel like they're part of it, they're part of the set. And a girl actually like sent us a message like after one of our London shows last year, and she was like, "I love the way that Girls Don't Sink make everyone else feel like the fifth member." And I was like, I think that's exactly what we've wanted to create, and kind of like, and that's a blessing and a curse, because also there needs to be some boundaries now, like the bigger that we get.
You are also not just Girls Don't Sink, you are your own people.
Do you know what I mean? We want to create that, and we want to kind of like create that buzz. And I think it's what you're saying, like being vocal, being no nonsense as well. Like before we do a show, we always post like a set of guidelines. We're not going to tolerate any form of like abuse, discrimination, anything like that. We want to remind people that like it's going to be busy. A lot of our tours sold out, so it means that things are going to be tight. There might not be a lot of space. Be mindful of your surroundings, be mindful of other people. We do want to encourage people to put the phones away and be in the moment and be present and be there for the music. And I just think, we've got that relationship with our audience that we're known for that. We're known for being vocal. We're known for calling shit out. We're known for using our voice to kind of attempt to kind of what you're saying, like make an environment better, attempt to make an environment safer. But ultimately, it is just so people can have the best possible time. Yeah. That's what we want.
It's so sad that we have to go through all these measures when actually it's a room of people enjoying themselves, isn't it? But it's important that people are doing it. I mean, I went to Bob Dylan a few weeks ago at the arena, and they lock your phones up physically. You get them in like a little sock, put them in your pocket.
Good.
But I've not been to a gig where that's been a thing for long. The phone thing's difficult because as much as it's sometimes great for you, it's too much, and I don't think people really want to film it either. I feel like
it's
you're
a
stuck
disconnect.
in a bit.
Like it's like there's been shows recently that I've been like, whoa, and we've looked at each other like, whoa, like I don't know where to look.
Yeah.
And as a DJ, like,
I shit, man.
it's just a bit like, it's a bit Black Mirror-esque to be like, it's just in this vortex of everybody filming you, and ultimately, when I first started going raving, first of all, I didn't want to be on my phone.
No.
Because I was absolutely mangled, and I probably didn't want to like.
I just
put it away,
filmed.
and also like I wasn't really looking at the DJ.
Yeah.
I was looking at my mates. I was like in my own little bubble, and I think again, it's a generational thing. So if we can be the ones to. The last thing we want to do is attack. We can only encourage and invite, and I think that's a really important like use of word, because we don't want to alienate them. They're a big part of our community. These young people, they're the people that are also enriching like the ecosystem of the next gen of like avid club goers. So we don't want to like scold them. We don't want to like criticize them. We want to, where we can, invite them and encourage them to like put the phones away, be part of the moment. And I think it's really important, and it's what you're saying of like having a duty. We also have a duty at the moment to have some kind of awareness to the situation going on with the landscape of nightlife, particularly in the UK. We even posted a video like from one of our sets in Brighton, and Brighton was one of our favourite shows that we'd done. Like the vibe in there was just like, it felt like a house party. And I just got on the mic and I was just like, by the way, thank you guys for buying a ticket, like actually buying a ticket. Nightlife in the UK is really struggling at the moment. And just things like that, buying a ticket, being part of this community, leaving your house in the middle of like November when it's chapping outside. We always say that we can't believe that we've hoodwinked like hundreds of people across the country to come and see us and like come to our shows. And I just think it's really important. We're seeing so many venues that we've played in. Even Motion recently in Bristol announced that they might be at risk of closing down. And we do have a duty. Like we do have a duty to commentate and advocate for these venues that are staples in terms of like grassroots, like UK nightlife, because that's also where we started. And I think the bigger that we get, it's easy to kind of like follow the trajectory of like the bigger venues, what's next, bigger. But ultimately, like we can't forget where we've come from. And we do have a responsibility to attempt to protect those venues and to advocate for their existence, because they're so important. Without them, there'd be no Girls Don't Sing, to be honest.
Yeah. And I think that mirrors a lot of like the artists across all genres. You've seen stadium shows, you've seen massive nightclubs, you've seen Ibiza sets. If we lose the other stuff, that don't happen anymore, because you've got no training ground for it, and you've got no way of like...
Not just for the likes of us that work in it as well. It's about like... Obviously, I've also worked on a bar in a club, so I've worked all different kind of like... I've been a promoter, I've worked on the door, I've worked on the bar. I've seen like all the different kind of like dimensions of nightlife, but above everything, same goes for you. I've been the person buying the ticket. I've been the person in the dance, in the rave. And I just think for young people in general, at the moment, those spaces are equally as important to be able to experience that, particularly if it's for the first time. But also raving is cross-generational. Like my mum still goes out raving. Like I think those kind of spaces for so many different like demographics, ages, communities, the dance, nightlife in general has always been that space of connection, letting your hair down, expressing yourself, and also more importantly, building your identity of like who you are and what you like and who you fuck with, like who you listen to, and it's all very like, it's all part of like the fabric of like who you are as a person. And I think nightlife is so ingrained in that. Like some of my best mates I've met in the club. Do you know what I mean?
Mine's always the escapism element.
Yeah, exactly.
As well.
Escapism. And it sounds cheesy to be like, oh, it's the place to let your hair down, but it absolutely is.
Yeah.
Absolutely is.
Yeah, and you just learn a lot about you as a person. Yeah. You learn a lot about what you do and don't tolerate, and what gets you going and what makes you feel happy. And we have too much of life where we're having to do Instagram stories and we're having to write emails. And actually, this is a place where you can just switch off from that for 6 hours, however long it is. Glastonbury, you can do 4 days and you can come back to normal life. I'm
coming back to normal life after like a month after Glastonbury. It takes a while to recover.
I've been going for 10 years.
Have you?
Yeah, and like, it's always my blowout because I'm the best. Quite reserved generally, really.
Yeah, but like Glastonbury's your time to just be like, fuck, like the phone's off, like it's almost like. Also, there's something like, and I say this all the time, like, especially when we went to Glastonbury for the first time, if you look back to like the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans, how they used to party, those banquets that would last like 3-4 days, where they're just like eating, listening to music, fucking, just being like, almost just like being the most like gluttonous versions of themselves. Like that's come from history.
Yeah.
And we've like replicated that. Not only have we replicated that, people pay good money to go and do you know what I mean? They pay good money to go and do it because it's such a monumental part of like the fabric of like the world that we're in. Very like rooted in like obviously like UK culture, but festivals, music festivals, like there's this obsession and this like pilgrimage that people they undergo each and every year. It's worldwide. It is. Like people do it all over the world.
Yeah, there's all sorts of examples of it across the world, and it don't necessarily even need to be that hedonistic. Sometimes it's a religious reason, but there's gatherings and there's days of letting yourself get involved in one thing that you're obsessed with, and there must be some sort of kind of nature reset button on us that goes, I need to just do something that isn't normal. I mean, whether that's just because we've been put into a strange 9 to 5 kind of society. Definitely. It's good to do, and I'd urge anyone that hasn't been out for a while to a festival. You've got to try and do it every year. Find out about yourself.
Definitely.
And you make friends for life. Do you know what I mean?
1000%.
I've always worked them. Like I've worked every festival nearly up and down the country, right? And we've always done giant puppets or gigging, depending which year it is. And that group that you go with, like you're saying about you four, you can't describe that. 4 days are them 4 days.
They're your family.
Yeah.
And then they become, like, you meet them there, they become your family, and then they stay your family.
Yeah.
And then the next year, they're back. Like, it is like that.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. I want to just move on to the more recording side of the thing. You released a single a couple of months ago.
God, there's so, like, not to burn my own horn, but there's actually so much to talk about. I even forgot about that. I'm like, oh yeah, like.
But that's a credit to where you're at. I think because you've kicked off straight into this tour and it's gone crazy. Obviously, that's what's in your mind. But look, where's your head at with that in terms of
with being an artist, music and albums
and singles and remixes?
So we released our first debut single, Come Through, on the first day of our tour, so we timed it out quite nicely. That's the next big thing for us. Like, we're transitioning from like DJs and like, you know, selectors, and you know, we've always had like our kind of like ear to the underground. Like, you know, we know what pops off in our set, so we've got that luxury of like, we know the sounds, we know the kind of like, we know the twists and turns in a track that can kind of like take us in as DJs, because that determines whether we're going to play it in the set or not. So we've got a really great advantage in terms of like being able to now make music with our ear to the underground and kind of like with our ear on some of the stuff that's coming through as DJs. And yeah, we released our first single. It's called Come Through. We were really happy with it. We're really like, it doesn't really sit within like house or garage. It's like a mixture of both. We've obviously pulled from a lot of like early like 2000, late 90s, like speed garage influences, like big bass line, 90s pianos, like there's lots of like twists and turns. We basically wanted to create a track that almost like replicates our sets, that kind of like surprise element, those kind of like audience participation moments where they take you in, they pull you out, and also it's called Come Through. Like it has an invitation, it has a address to the audience. Like, what we want our music to say something about us, but also coming from a DJ background, it's like, how do we make a tune that kind of like captures the energy of our sets? And we really felt that Come Through did that. So next is going to be releasing more music. We're hopefully releasing our next single. We're just waiting to get the clearance from it, because it will be like a bit of more of a remix. But yeah, 2025, I think, is full steam ahead with the music.
Nice.
And we've made so much this year, and we're like peppering it in our sets. We're getting people excited, and yeah, we're just like, we're still finding that kind of like Girls Don't Sing sound, but because it's so connected with like the vibe of our sets, not that it makes it easy, but like, I mean, definitely doesn't make it easy. There's 4 of us, so there's, you know, 4 sets of opinions, 4 sets of tastes, but that's the core of the GDS like DJ set anyway. So it's basically attempting to replicate those feelings within a tune.
It'd be cool to get some guest vocalists on stage.
Yeah, it would.
You know, every now and again has a bit of fun.
We've actually been using a lot of our own vocals. Like we've there's a lot of this. There's one song in particular that we're all in. We're all in, and that's really fun as well. Like writing, sitting down, getting creative, like everybody having a go. We've gone from being like, we're not singers, we're not this, we're not rappers, we're not whatever, and then we're like, fuck it, let's give it a go.
Try it. Yeah.
And like, even like in Come Through, there's a few sounds that are just, I think they might be Sophia or Matty, that we're just like, sometimes we can hear an instrument, and sometimes we're just like, let's just record it in.
Yeah.
So even if it's just like we're very hands-on, and we're very particular. I think we all strive to perfection, especially again being 4 girls. We know that there's scrutiny there. We know that we need to come harder, and we know that exists because we feel it before we even get on a stage, that there's that feeling there of like, we have to prove ourselves. And I think our music is another kind of like subgroup of that kind of like, that, I don't know what the word is, that kind of like resilience and just like putting our stamp, being like, this is us. We're working very hard, and we also recognise the fact that because we're women, there's going to be certain attitudes and approaches towards us simply because we're women. And not only are we going to reject it, but we're going to take it in our stride and make sure that what we're making is sick.
That's got to come to an end.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's use it as a driving force, because that's amazing. Like, if you can use it as a driving force, then use it. But
we use it within our art. Like,
yeah.
The second stream we did for DJ Mag, we actually collected all of the comments from the first stream, got loads of, like, I think Tomo recorded one as well, got loads of our friends and family to record them, and then we made it into a soundscape, and then that's how we opened our second stream. Some of the comments are like, who are these Barbie DJs? What's this lesbian boiler room? Get back to the kitchen. Like, the most like textbook sexist comments. And also, like, it's not just sexism, it's so much more than that because of like the way we are. So it's obviously rooted in misogyny, but there's also a lot of racism as well. And I just think our name, Girls Don't Sink, is also a rejection of those like stereotypes and of those kind of like stigmas that are put on female DJs. And a big part of that is taking it within our stride, like what you're saying, incorporating it as part of our brand and our identity, but also sending out that message to that next generation of DJs, whether they're female or male, to be like, no.
That's why I like the name. It's got synergy with the actual DJ mechanics, but then it's also just, you know, your attitude. And it's
Girls Don't Sink. Also, like, Girls Don't Sink, like, we rise. Like, there's also like a bit more of like a deeper meaning.
It's great. And I think you've really like lent into it, but without, I don't know what the word is. You're using it in a fun way. You're not using it necessarily like shouting in people's faces, but you're using it right.
But people aren't going to listen if we shout in their faces. We know that.
And also because it's just stress for you.
We're young as well, in the sense of like, we know we're also on the other side of this kind of like community. Like, we go to raves, we know what that's like. We know what it's like to like follow a DJ, you know, buy into like their music, buy into the scene. So like, we also aren't too dissimilar in age and identity to the people that are coming to our sets. And I don't like to be shouted at in terms of like, do you know what I mean? In terms of like content or awareness or whatever. So I just think, like what you said before, there's a certain way to do it. And we also understand that there's a certain way to kind of like capture the attention of that generation. And it definitely isn't to shout. It definitely isn't to like tell people off. It's to incorporate it in music, do it in a bit more of a tongue-in-cheek way. Like, and I think at the moment, like, you know, we've done a few bits on our social media of like us talking. And I think a lot of people have been really like, really leaning into that because they see us jumping around up and down on a stage. And I think it's been really nice for people to see us kind of like strip back. We're four very intelligent young women. And we've all got a lot to say. We all represent something different. And I just think there's been a time where, not saying that we haven't had that opportunity, but I think now more than ever, we've got things to say. And we want people to hear it and we want people to resonate with it. And we definitely don't want people to kind of like put us in a box of like lecturers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's about invitation, it's about encouragement. And ultimately, we want people to have a good time. Yeah. We don't want to bore people.
You're definitely not lecturing, and it's so lovely to just be able to have a chat with someone that's doing really well. And he's just the exact same as you were before you were like, when you first started DJing.
I'm a diva now. No, I'm not.
I mean, you've always been a diva. But let's give some props to some people coming through. So if there's anyone, maybe Liverpool based or people, let's give a few props or a few shout outs to some of the stuff that's happening that people might not be onto just yet, because I'm sure you see a lot of it.
Definitely.
Do you get sent a lot of it?
Oh my God, so much music. And like, again, that's a really like privileged position to be in, because like, we can just fast track. Like, I've done a lot of digging over the years. I still do on like SoundCloud, Bandcamp. Like, it's part of it. You've got to do that. You've got to do that digging. But we get sent so much music. And again, from like producers that are coming up, producers that people don't know about. One of my favorite things about this tour now is that we've curated all the lineups for each different city. So it's meant that we can put these people on, like people that we've met like online, in our Brighton show, these two producers, N4T and Presty, they've been sending us music across the years, and we finally met them in real life, and we've been able to give them a set on our show. And we're all kind of like part of this same like ecosystem. And I think the relationships between like DJs and producers, being sent music, you cultivate these relationships online, and a lot of them have just ended up being our mates because like that's how it is. Like we're also wanting to shout about them, that their music is the kind of like, it's the base of our sound, is the base of our identity. So without their music, we kind of like be nothing kind of thing. So it goes both ways. But I think in Liverpool at the moment, we're obviously seeing like today, like obviously teaching at Box Park, all the girls want to DJ like garage, and I just think that's so cool. Because when we first started, there wasn't that many like girlies playing like garage, or there wasn't really like a garage like scene or a garage like bubbling kind of like community in Liverpool. Obviously this city is built on the likes of like things like tech house and house in general. And garage is house. Garage is literally house sped up, so that, you know, that they're all synonymous with each other. In Liverpool at the moment, TJ obviously is one that has like, he's played here. He did the Decks in the City competition. He's been sending us a lot of music. He's got an edit at the moment that we've been playing in our sets, and he was one of my mentees for a campaign that we did with Jägermeister. It was a DJ Academy. And I saw him like when he was first coming up being like, oh yeah, I need to get my tunes out, to now his tunes are like being released on like labels like Profound Sound. Yeah. We're playing them in the likes of like Warehouse Project sets, and he was actually there when we dropped it. And he messaged us like, I can't believe like you're playing my song, and like I'm in the crowd, and like those kinds of moments for us are really important, because we need to, nice he's the best. Well, yeah. TJ's really sick. There's another producer who's from Liverpool, he's called Entasia, but he's currently based in Australia. He is incredible. He's getting a lot of support from like the likes of us, Paige Tomlinson, Malugi. He's making like really happy, like, I don't know, like hard groove, like house, like a lot of it is, it's very joyful. It's very like piano led, very organ led. Yeah. And I think at the moment that sound is like really, really dominating, and it's so sick. I didn't even know he was from Liverpool, but he's from Liverpool. He's based in Australia. We're definitely going to try and link up with him when we get out there, because we're going there in a few weeks. Which is insane to think about.
Can't believe you got it.
Because I feel jet lagged from life. So like, I don't know how I'm going to feel when I get out there.
It might be good because you're somewhere completely different.
I know. It'll be good. Who else is there in Liverpool? God, my mind goes blank. There's stuff bubbling. Like you can feel it and you can see it. And I think what I'm more excited about is the people that are coming up now that we don't know about, that from the likes of like certain like opportunities, like these kinds of like DJ workshops and, you know, things like what Kerry's doing with Decks in the City. I think it's going to begin to cultivate an even bigger like upcoming DJ community, which wasn't really around when we first started. And I think having that kind of network, having spaces like here that are willing to be like, you know what, we're going to open our doors. We're going to have a DJ competition. We're going to have a DJ showcase. I think seeing that, seeing more girls at the forefront of that as well. You can't be what you can't see. So if I'm a student, just moved to Liverpool, I'm 18 years old, I really want to DJ garage, and I look around and I'm seeing that, I'm going to start feeling that sense of confidence. Like, you know what, maybe this is possible. Yeah. Whereas like 4 or 5 years ago, probably not.
Yeah, it was closed book, and you know, it was who you knew and the clubs you're in and who you were usually. Yeah. Even in the final that you came and mentored at the end on that last final night.
Oh God, they're so good, by the way.
We had 2 female DJs, 2 male DJs, all under 22.
Yeah,
all
insane.
like 18, 19,
and they were
21.
so like, they actually blew me away. I was almost worried because I was like, how am I going to do this? Because I can't hide my face. If they're shit, I can't fake it.
They just went off, didn't it? Straight away.
Every single, like, they actually, for different reasons, like, whether it was stage presence, whether it was, like, technical ability, whether it was selections, like, I was so impressed with every single one of them. And I just think, like,
Did
again,
they all come to Creamfields? You can't
no. I invited them all. Yeah.
So at the final battle, one of the prizes was, well, the winner won £1,000 to go towards like the career, but then Gaia invited all the finalists as a VIP guest to Creamfields. So did they all take you up on it?
Absolutely. I think some of them couldn't come, but we had a few there. It was sick.
Nice.
It was so good. Also, it's important for them. Like, look, like things like festivals, like gigs in general, like it's not very accessible. And I just think for us as well, it's really important that these are the exact kind of people that I want front row at Creamfields. And, you know, offering things out like guest lists and stuff is always something that we wanted to do. And yeah, for that younger generation, like festival tickets aren't cheap. It's not the most accessible sometimes to kind of like get into and, you know, to access. And I just think, yeah, I want you to go to a festival.
Yeah, experience it.
It's all part of that. And also it's also rooted in a lot of ambition. Like I know, like, that there's people in that crowd that will look at these kinds of stages and be like, I want to do that. You know, me and Matty went to Parklife when we were like 17, like every other 17-year-old did. And I remember like being at Parklife, obviously nowhere near, like I wasn't DJing, anything like that. Being there and just being like, wow, this is so cool. Parklife is a festival where we very much like worked our way up from. Like we were at the bottom of the artwork.
Now.
Oh my God! Now it's when I saw that I was like, "What the hell?"
You are
and
front and centre, mate.
We're doing main stage, which is just like it's absolutely bonkers. But just like seeing other artists and seeing like being inspired by festivals, being inspired by DJ sets. I think it's really, really important if you are an avid like DJ or you're a budding producer. You need to be in these spaces. You need to be soaking up all of these kind of like all the juices from the scene. And I think particularly with the younger generation, like I was saying before, like it's not anybody's fault, but it's like it's an instant gratification thing. Like, when do I want it? Now. And it's like there's a kind of reluctancy to kind of like skip those steps because the end product is always just shoved down our throat all the time. And I think, a lot of young people might lean into that, and it's just like they want that so badly. Whereas actually it's all these little nuggets along the way, and part of that is going to a festival, going to gigs, supporting the community that you so want to be a part of. Also means buying a ticket to other people's to gigs, going to check out other venues, cultivating and establishing relationships with venue owners, other DJs. You don't know that they might book you for their residency, or they might need a support DJ for another DJ that's coming in or whatever. And I think being part of that and
they might know someone else and
immersing yourself in that scene, and just having a foundation of like appreciation and visibility. Like you need to be part of it. And I think that's really, really important. And I think that's something that we've always done because we fucking love it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We love it. We
and
know
you can tell.
We know what that's like. And I just think, particularly like in Liverpool, there's always been a big like consensus of like just having a consciousness about helping other people out and like collaboration. And I think for anybody that is starting out, I just say like, please don't be scared of that collaboration. And I think for some people, it might be scary, it might be your baby, it might be your thing, but there's strength in numbers. And being able to kind of like tap into as many different kind of like pockets of communities and establishing yourself with people is a strength.
Yeah.
And as much as you might want to like take all the accolades for yourself and like keep all those flowers, it's going to be a very dry batch of flowers because you need lots of people to water it, and you need lots of kind of like, you need that support. And I think particularly in a city like Liverpool, you get back what you give out, and people don't forget that. And a lot of it is just being sound, just being open, being honest, reaching out to people, because 9 times out of 10, if I'm an upcoming DJ and I message you, Tom, and I'm like, oh, I'd love to play an arts bar. Do you think I could do a DJ set? You've also been on the other side of that, of knowing what it's like to start gigging, and like you just need that one little opportunity. And I just think having that kind of it's a confidence thing, but also establishing yourself within the Liverpool community, especially 9 times out of 10, it will come back to you tenfold.
Our big thing has always been if we're the place to try it out, no risk. You're not paying for it. Like there's no risk to coming and just trying something out here. Work out what it is you like, and then go maybe in a year book your next venue. Maybe get seen by someone. It should be the launching pad for everything.
Definitely.
And it wasn't here when we were like coming out and first kind of studying and then coming out of university. It wasn't there. We didn't have anywhere where we could just be ourselves and experiment.
But you saw that there was a lack of that. And like similar to Girls Don't Sink, like we created that.
Yeah.
Because I can't see it and I can't feel it in my city, I'm going to do it myself. And that's exactly what you guys have done. And now you guys have established yourself, not just as one venue, but 2 venues across Liverpool, as not even just like a venue. Like that almost like makes it sound like a bit more like cold and like corporate. Like Arts Bar is so much more than that. It is a community. It is this like, it's a space, it's a platform that allows people. Also, what I really respect about Arts Bar as that kind of like, that opener, like what you're saying of just like, that introduction, whether you're an artist, whether you're a DJ, is how many different like communities and genres like you're tapping into. And I think either, you're either an R&B club, or you're an electronic music venue, or you're an indie club, and seeing a space like Arts Bar kind of like encompass and celebrate all of those different things, having somebody like Philly come in and do like a rap show, having, maybe more like indie like artists come in, having DJs from electronic backgrounds come in. I don't think there's really any venue in Liverpool that is offering that for so many different pockets of music and of performance.
100%. We're wanting to really expand on that next year and really cross-genre and look at setting up a new collective that is about connecting the different leaders in all the kind of categories. So I've been having loads of chats with Corf and a guy called Jazz, who's a pianist in the city. It's about us putting on events that encourage cross-genre, not just going, this is a DJ event, this is a disco event, this is a rock event. It's like going, well, let's have rock singers with an orchestra and let's really start to meld it together properly, because we're all doing the same thing. It might be labelled slightly differently, but we're all doing the same thing. Like your shows are not dissimilar to one of the big indie bands playing Hangar 34. In fact, probably the night before at Invisible Wind, you probably had a big indie band on. You hope the feeling in that room is the same. You hope to get to that stage where everyone's having a good time, everyone's looking after each other, and everyone's letting loose for a few hours.
Defo.
So everyone's pretty cool. I've not really met any arseholes in the industry.
But I think in Liverpool.
As in
Liverpool.
In Liverpool.
Yeah, in Liverpool.
As in the creators as well. Like, as creators, everyone's pretty giving. I mean, you did the opening of this when we opened the Baltic. You and Sophia came and did it.
Oh my God, yeah.
You didn't have to do that. But you were like, of course I will. You didn't even ask questions.
I remember. That was, how long ago was that?
Like a year and a half ago.
Oh my goodness, I actually remember now.
I literally was like, will you? He was like, yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, of course.
But it's
Yeah.
I don't think you get that everywhere. I really don't think you get that everywhere.
I think, again, it's Liverpool, isn't it? Like, we know what a venue like this means. We know what it does for the community, and it means that we absolutely will play at the opening, because we're very aware of that kind of like, of that impact that you guys have had, especially on Hope Street, what you will have here. And like I said before about like that responsibility, that duty, me and Sophia aren't from here. We've chosen to live here. This is part of our community. Like, we live up the road. Like, we absolutely want to be the people that are shouting about venues like this, that are celebrating people like yourselves, that are doing this kind of groundwork and allowing people that, again, aren't too dissimilar to us, upcoming DJs, upcoming artists, whether they're, you know, grime DJs, whether they're country singers. There's not many spaces that kind of are able to kind of like take them in and give them that very first platform. And I just think, yeah, of course, it's important.
Yeah. And it makes me look cool, because all the staff think I'm really old. And then when they go, you don't know Girls Don't Sing, I'm like, fucking do, cheeky.
I knew Girls Don't Sing, like, probably when Girls Don't Sink were like, we weren't even anyone. We weren't anyone. We were literally just like 4 rugrats in Liverpool bouncing around, like trying to get people to listen to garage, basically.
Yeah, but you've just marketed it so well in terms of your output, but then you also I think you're enjoying it, and that's what comes across.
Good.
And I think we touch on it slightly, but I think Australia was my last kind of like, listen, what's next? Obviously, it's Australia.
Well, we're still in the tour. We've got Leeds on Friday, which is always a good time. Then we've got...
Where in Leeds?
Testbed, new venue. Pretty big.
Cool. Like,
pretty big cap. That's what I mean. As we grow, we need to do those bigger caps. I think next year we're really going to strip it back, and we're going to do a small like club run.
Okay.
Because we know what's going on. We want to send out a message. And yeah, we want to take it back. I think we're going to do an EP next year. We're going to do like a 200-300 cap small club run.
Yeah.
We love the big venues. They're very impressive, but that's where our heart is. And yeah, it's important for DJs and performers in our position to, you know, it's a luxury to be able to go back to those spaces, and we really want to do that. And we really want to amplify that.
You can do a mixture, can't you?
Exactly. We can do both. But yeah, we're doing Testbed Leeds. Very impressive new venue. Then we've got Paris, Belgium, Amsterdam. Got a bit of a break, and then Australia and New Zealand. So,
you're going with a crew?
To Australia, New Zealand. We go with our tour manager. She's called Lena Scouser. All of our team's female, so we've got a female agent, female manager, female tour manager, and she's a Scouser. So I'll let you do with that as you will. So we're always protected.
Yeah.
She's absolutely brilliant. I don't know where we'd be without her.
So it's you 4, tour manager.
Yeah, and that's it.
Wow.
I know, us 5
nice.
On the road. She came with us this year as well. God, we went this year. We went in February. Whoa. Yeah, and we wouldn't have survived without her. She's absolutely brilliant, and yeah, she's just, yeah. I don't know what we were even doing before she came on. And it's made a whole difference to like us as people, our sets, our experiences, our travels, our mind. She always makes us do affirmations in the morning at breakfast, which is really, really sweet. And she fights for us and she cares about us so much. And anybody that meets her can really see that. And we had just had our Liverpool show on Saturday, and all of our friends that met her were just like, she's incredible. And also for us to be an all-female team, there's just certain things, Tom, that are just like, we don't have to say anything. It's like it's almost like a non-verbal thing of just like, they just know. And it's so refreshing, and it makes our job and our career and like all of our efforts just like feel really like confident and safe and secure. And yeah, being able to say that we work with an all-female team is just like,
and then it means you can now just enjoy it. If you're not worrying about the other bullshit.
Yeah.
You can enjoy yourself.
There's certain things that we would have felt like before them that we don't feel now, because it's all just like taken care of. And it just goes to show like how good of a job they're doing in terms of just like, you know, streamlining stuff and protecting us. We're 4 girls. We're 4 girls traveling. We're 4 girls going into venues.
Yeah.
There's shit that happens that just like now, there's just like, we're different from other acts. We need to be approached with a different level of care and caution. And I really feel that. And yeah, it makes me feel really like safe. And it means that when I do get on that stage, I can just focus and concentrate on the one thing that I'm there to do, which is fucking give it all my beans on those decks and have a good time.
I was playing there was me and an all-female band like last year, and the amount of times we'd get to sound check and everyone would just turn to me and ask me questions.
Yeah, always.
Not to do with me, man.
There was a time when me and Hannah, we were headlining in London. We were late and we got to the front of the queue and we were like, we're so sorry we're late. And the security was like, nice try, get to the back.
Unreal.
And we were like, we're literally headlining, and they were like, get to the back. I had to get up the Instagram, show them a picture. Like, it's that level of disbelief that obviously is rooted in disrespect, to be like, as if you're the DJ. And we get that all the time. And obviously now things are like slowly changing, but that it is the case. And it is that disbelief. It is that disrespect of just like having to prove yourselves, people not really believing that you're the DJ, and you know, all of that kind of like textbook shit that hopefully in a few years will just be fucking eradicated.
The more that people take your advice, do what you're doing, and expand on it, and
also
and go
more female DJs. Like I'm buzzing that there's 14 people that have signed up to do these workshops with me tonight, because it just means like there's going to be more of us. There's more of us, and booking Girls Don't Sink on your lineup isn't like ending like the issue with like diversity and balance. Like, that is not the case. We don't want to be the only. That's not diversity to us. Also, diversity is not just booking men and women. It's a whole huge umbrella term that we need a lot of work on. And yeah, booking Girls Don't Sink isn't the answer to a promoter's problem in terms of diversity. Like that. That should just be the start. We want to see like more people getting booked, more marginalised genders, more marginalised communities. It's not a case of just like, oh, we're just going to book a few more girls. You know what's easy? There's 4 of them. One's black, one's this, one's type 1 diabetic, one's mixed race. Tick, tick, tick. That to us is not success. Success is the girlies that I'm teaching tonight, maybe 3 of them are going to make a little collective, or one of them is going to come through and like, you know, start doing this and start doing that. And I think, yeah, the more marginalised genders we can see, like taking up DJing, pushing the boundaries, and, you know, owning and adopting that confidence, is what's going to really like change the landscape of these kind of like lineups and these kind of like these positions across the UK in terms of like billings and festivals and this and that. And yeah, we're on our way, but it doesn't stop with Girls Don't Sink. And ultimately all we've ever wanted is Girls Don't Sink to be the domino effect to create more female collectives, more marginalised communities coming through and owning shit and owning their space and dominating. And yeah, that's what we want to see.
And I think you are absolutely doing it.
Good.
So
yeah.
I want to personally say I'm very proud of you, and it's nice to see.
Aww.
And anything that happens in the future, you deserve it all.
And like, thank you.
You've inspired. Even most of our staff are like so awed by what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to see, mate. Like, do you know what I mean?
But also love your staff. And again, like this venue's so like rooted in that respect for the arts, like Arts Bar.
Yeah.
Arts Bar.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's pretty straight. It's pretty straightforward. Right. Thank you very much. We will leave it there because you've got to run to Box Park.
I do. What time is? Oh God. See.
Maybe not. Yeah, you got a bit of time.
Yeah, fine.
But thank you very much. I want to keep you. That was amazing.
Cheers, Tom.
And I'll see.
Sorry, how much storage do you have on your phone, by the way? Fucking hell.
Loads. Don't worry about it.
Fair.
Go on, man.
Cheers.
Pay for the cloud.
Yeah, fine. I was thinking like this is a long ass podcast. How long have we done?
We've done about an hour and a half, maybe.
Fantastic.
It's been pretty good.
I've loved that. Cheers.
Make sure if you haven't Check out Girls Don't Sink. You can't get tickets for the tour anymore because it's sold out. So next time, motherfuckers. Bye.
See ya.